Greetings, everyone. I hope your day is okay wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Hope you're not in the middle of the fires or riots or any of those kind of things. Have some kind of peace going on in your life right now. Not many people do. I got a lot of things I want to talk about. I'm sorry my other half is not here. I don't know if she's okay, what she's doing. I'm sure if he remembers, she'll come on. But until that happens, I'm going to take us a little different way today. She's a UFO person. She's been abducted many times and all that. And I've been around a ship. I was close to a ship. I stopped my brother from getting abducted. But that's not where I want to go today. Just listen to a talk with Maura Eisenhower, and she has somebody on that's pretty well knowledgeable, per se, with his so-called knowledge. And he talks about Michael Sala, who's also in Hawaii, where I am, who digs through files and everything, trying to expose everything that the government's doing. But I challenge him a lot and say, look, you want to talk truth? Why don't you talk about your country? Australia has the biggest army base on the planet. Why don't you talk about that? But they're going on about Russia was the ships over us during the invasion over the White House, well, whatever you want to call it. But there's so much false information being squeezed into all the information. They're trying to say that we work with the Nordics now. The Nordics travel on the ships with the reptilians. And they were saying the Russians work with the reptilians and we work with the Nordics. But they work together. No alien race is working for the people. And it seems like that's getting lost really bad in the UFO world and in reality. Now, let's go into this. I want to go into the show I'm going to be doing. It's going to be a long show, continuous, and it's going to be a continuation of where I leave off the week before. The title of the show, please, and I want anybody that hears the show, sees the show, please promote it. I'm a rebel. I'm hardcore. I can only deal with truth. I can't deal with liars, storytellers, dreamers, fantasizers, any of those words. It's going to be called Beyond Your Truth. And I'm naming it that very simply because everybody thinks they have their truth. Well, they do. The only problem with that, how true is it really to the world, to the universe, to God? Well, you can have any kind of truth you want, but if it's a delusional one or imaginary one, it's beneficial to nobody. So when I say beyond your truth, I'm going to put all the truth that I know for a fact, that I put my life on the line about. And if I'm wrong about something, I'll admit it, but so far I haven't. And what I'm bringing out is definite truth that nobody deals with. Nobody. All right. Now, before we get started, I lived a pretty abstract life. I went through just about every kind of experience you could imagine, except being abducted. I cannot be. And I'm not going to go into all those reasons now, but most people that get abducted don't remember it because I got involved with hypnosis when I was young. I'm talking 14 years old, and started working with people doing past life regression, which is what I called it when I was young. And it wasn't even a word at that time. I mean, when I was making my business card, describe this. Well, let's go into past lives, and that's how I created my business cards. It didn't become a real used word until years later by a woman who died recently, but she claimed she created it. But I'm not going to go into that either. When I go through this show, I'm going to deal with your truth. How am I going to deal with that? You'll find out. But what's important, what's beneficial, what's going to help people as a soul being, and where the world's going, where government's going, where speakers are going, and how it's hurting us at every level. All right, now, many things I'm going to say will bother you, because if you got a truth and something's bigger than your truth, it's going to be hard for you to accept it or want to accept it, because most people are happy in their little box of their truth that they call their truth. But it's funny. I'd say over the past 15 years, I've been trying to get people to talk about their truth. And people can't. I mean, you get a person that says they deal with angels and stuff. They say, well, I work with an angel. And they'll say some event that some angel saved them. Do you know bad demons and entities will save a person? People don't understand truth about reality. Just real simply, because they want people to stay here. They don't want people to leave. All right. Now, there's many things which I'll be dealing with. But I'm going to start off with the most important thing first. And then we'll break it down to all the other little things that affect everybody at every level of their lives. Now, the word I'm going to use is not accepted, not understood, and wasn't even realized until 200 years ago. All right. Now, the word, which is not that complicated, okay, the truth. Is there a God? Is God real? What is God? Now, when I mention God, what is the first thing you think of? A man sitting in heaven? A super big man sitting in heaven? What is he sitting on? What is he wearing? What color is he? How long's his hair? I mean, those kind of questions. Are you trying to figure that out when you think about your God? Then the second question, do you even believe in that God? Well, I know you're programmed to, most people. And a lot of people don't accept the program because they don't like to be programmed, but they are completely programmed. What does God look like? Now, that's a pretty interesting question, because over the past 30,000 years, different things played the role of God. But what God is described by a person that writes about it. Moses wrote his definition of God, which was pretty much accepted because there was 2.4 billion Christians. There's 2.1 billion Muslims. So that's a big percentage of the planet right there that already accept a concept, programmed idea about God. Then we move into other religions, Hinduism, Buddhism, and many other ones along the way. Demonism, witchcraft, and all the like. So how many of them describe God? Go into what God looks like, what God really is. I'm only doing a quick run by today because I want to start this probably next week in detail and go into it hardcore. And I always say hardcore because what people deal with is pennies compared to gold coins and things like that. Nothing compared to the truth. In the UFO world, which I'll get into a little bit later, what's going on there? How what's important? What's being talked about, and what they're fighting over the most important facts, which I truly don't understand. Oh, she didn't show up yet. I don't know what's going on. So just change the screen. Sorry about that. We have so many speakers out there telling stories, and one person says, I got the real truth. I got the real truth. Even if they have part of the truth, is it important? Important to people? Important to Sorry about that, just moving ourselves over a little bit. All right, important to how we act, how we live, what we do? Or is it just about control? Look at everything being done with the government, with the army, with the navy, with other countries. There's one simple little thing that they all focus on: the concept of a war. Now, that should make you really think a little bit harder about what that means to people. Do they care about you and me? Do they care about the little people? Do they care about the homeless people, starving people? Of course not. Or there wouldn't be 90% at least of the planet starving, homeless, and abused. They care about the rich people. I don't know, I'd say it's roughly between 4 and 6%, if it's that much even. Maybe it's even 2%, but I'm not going to. I pulled up the numbers and stuff. There's a lot of millionaires in the United States, believe it or not. And there's a lot of millionaires around the planet. Not compared to the numbers that are starving and homeless, though. So, they're the people that pay for what's created. Not you, not me. All right, when I say created, well, they can't stop from happening. As of right now, they can't. California has the most they ever had, and they're very dangerous. And they can't put them out. $10 million roughly a year. Only spending, I don't know, my computer's running slow. I don't know why. But over the years, the trillions of dollars spent each year on the space program, they call it war technical inventions, weapons, and all those kind of words that they use while they spend that money. But it's more about space travel, spaceships, time travel. All those things have nothing to do for you and me. Unless you join the army, you want to be part of that, go right ahead. You got the freedom to do that. So I would say right now, for the people out there listening, if you got this desire about UFOs and aliens and what they're doing, join the Army, join the Marines, join the Air Force. If you join the Air Force, I'm going to tell you, you're going to see a lot more ships and understand it a little more. The Army's playing with them, the ones that are shot down and stuck here and all those kind of things. But the truth is, and I'm listening to another show, and I just want to throw this in, that the two people involved and created all the scenario that's going down in the UFO world was Truman first. He created MJ-12, which overrode every part of the government. Meaning, Truman gave them the power above everybody to do what they have to do without getting an okay from him or anybody else. Just so you know, it's MJ-32 right now. The one person I knew in MJ-12 is dead, so I can't get any real top information anymore. But here's the thing. Even the whistleblowers coming out with these stories. Oh, well, Russia did this to scare us. We did this to scare that. But they're not really talking about the real serious problems that it caused or was happening at the same time. All right, so there was a fleet of ships over the White House in 1952, the year I was born. Now they're trying to say they were Russian ships. Okay, I wasn't there. I saw the, but that wasn't too outrageous. I mean, a fleet of ships over the White House, and it happened a couple times in a week. Now, that being said, it must have been pretty scary if it was real, and that statement was real, that our government wasn't prepared to defend the world, or still isn't, or even the United States. So when we think about 9/11, 2 planes went off course Well, it was really more, but that actually hit the Trade Center. Went off course, and all they did, one state would call the next state and said, there's a plane coming towards you. They would call the next state, oh, there's a plane coming to you. What was going on inside the government will never come out. I mean, Putin asked Trump to release that information years ago. But what was really going on? Why didn't they go after those planes? I mean, if they would have shot them down, there would have been a lot less damage to people, lives, land, and everything else. But they didn't. And they let them. And they never even interfered. I mean, people will say, well, this and that. And no, you have to look at the facts, the actual facts. They were off course. And if you were on a plane right now, you were going from Hawaii to California, and we were over Russia, just an exaggeration. What do you think would happen? Russia would shoot us down, for one. I don't know if we would care because it was so far from our property, our land. But when you bring it into the United States, well, you're going from California to New Jersey, and you're going up around Alaska. What do you think they should have done? Well, obviously, they should have shot that plane down. Or tried to maneuver, make it go somewhere, or make it land. They didn't do any of the above. So the story about 9/11 after it happened was twisted, covered up. Nobody knows the story of what was going on with the Trade Center before it was hit. And the story was incredibly pathetic 3 months before the two buildings were taken out. They were both in bankruptcy. They were both filled with asbestos. Both had to be rebuilt. And that's not brought out. They were both owned by the two companies that supposedly the airline companies that flew into it. The stories and the facts are there. If you had a brain, it's like a puzzle. You put it together. But if you don't have a brain, you got pieces of puzzles that, oh, this don't fit with that. And you never put the puzzle together. Or want to. So I'm going abstract today, but I want you to become aware that what's happening and the speakers we got coming out, no matter what they say, no matter how high their clearance was, or I had the highest clearance, nobody did. Or they would be able to tell us what aliens were there, what they did to them, they'd be able to tell us the truth if they had that. I mean, when you go to school, you're a principal. Well, you tell your teacher, you got your power over your class. How much power do they really have over the classroom anyway? Can they hit a child? Can they throw them out? I mean, they can take them out of the classroom. I mean, but the powers are limited. So when these people say they have the highest clearance, Majestic 12 had the highest clearance. Anybody that worked for them was brought into it, had to have a certain kind of clearance as well. And they're the ones you'll never hear because they're either dead or completely reprogrammed, which happens to most people. It's just amazing to me that it's so hard to listen to any talk, any speaker talk about what they're going to speak about and blowing a whistle on something when it has nothing to do with anything important. Corey Good, Michael Salla. I mean, I can go into all those kind of people that are out there mainstream talking about what it is, what's happening, what's going to happen. And funny, it's not going to help you or me get dinner tonight. It's not going to help you get a new house, a new car. It's not going to help you save your child if he's sick and in the hospital dying. It's not going to do any of those things. But not just our country, Russia and China are doing the same thing. But, you know, the ones, believe it or not, the countries we don't hear about are spending large amounts of money on war. Hold on, Where's my, I got to put my chat room. Sorry about that. All right. Lightning strikes. Okay. In California, yeah, there's thousands of fires burning. There's disaster going on. I have somebody there that's right in the middle of it. But let's try to keep it to this idea: the money being spent on this ridiculous idea that we need spaceships to travel through space. Now, when they talk about these things and saying we can go faster than the speed of light, well, show us a suit that could protect the man in the flight going at that speed. Protect his brain, to protect his body. All right? We hear parts of stories, but they're twisted. They're not even close to the truth. When they talk about races, Area 51, well, I hear it over and over that it wasn't real, there were government ships and all that. Sorry, a good friend of mine who is in jail right now, dying because the government wants him dead, was the first person to bring people to Area 51 and watch these giant motherships land there. They came in about twice every 2 weeks. They came in, and he would rent a van and take 6 people up there. They paid for the van, and they went up there. So why is that covered up? Because they didn't want the truth to come out, so they put all the land around it so nobody can go near it. And that's the way Area 51 is now. But here's a problem with that. They were working with us. What races were there? Now, when they say that the Nordics, who came up with the Nordics? Who came up with the name? The reptilians. Who came up with the name? The reptilians came down. We're reptilians. Well, they were called that because people think that's what they look like. What's a Nordic? A person from a country where there's tall people with blue eyes, blonde hair. It's delusional to think that they're spiritual beings. When you go around for Halloween and you put a costume on, you're not that person, but you pretend to be for the day. Well, when these races of beings come here, especially the Nordics, they're workers. They're I would call them spies, traitors for the human race anyway, not for their people. They work with the reptilians. Both races, we're supposed to work with the Nordics, and Russia's working with the reptilians. Neither race is working with people in the United States or Russia in a good way. They don't care about helping mankind move forward in any way. That should be a definite warning sign, a signal to that something's wrong. Now, with people like Michael Salla, Corey Good, and David Icke, David Wilcock, all these people and all their stories and what they're saying, what they're doing, what they're trying to prove. Nobody's talking about what's really going on. So we got ships. Okay, we're building ships traveling faster than the speed of light. Can a human body withstand that kind of speed? Really? Now, and I'm not going to say how real or not this is, but I'm going to try to describe a situation. I met a person, a scientist, said there's about 24 scientists that meet with certain races and they go to their planet twice a year. All right, they got to put a special suit on and they're injected with a fluid. All right, so they could withstand the speed and everything else. I don't know if they're alive or if the story is totally true. But the idea is the human body's resistance. Put them in to space. They put you in this thing that spins around super fast to see if your body can deal with it even. And there's always at one point when we go through the ozone and the body passes out for a few seconds. Well, and that's not traveling at the speed of light. All right. People can tell stories. And people could say a lot of things. But we have zero proof of any kind of help to the human race. War, well, I know we had 2 wars. I saw 2 ships get shot down. Not shot down, blown up to disappearing. Here in Hawaii. The most important army base for the United States is here in Hawaii because we're the first center of defense for the United States. We test bombs here. We do a lot of things here in Hawaii. So when we talk about what races are here, we have 2 races that are here as well. We have the Pleiadians and we have the Aquatics. All right. They have different missions. One's playing inside the earth with things. I mean, they live in the water, underwater. The Pleiadians, they got a totally different mission. But my definition is the only race that's really important is, sorry about that, is the Pleiadians. Because no matter what you hear, what they say, well, they want a lot of stuff from us. Yeah, they want our blood. They want our ovaries. They want our semen. And they want us for food. But outside of that, not much more. But when I talk about the Pleiadians, whether it's a Pleiadian base or not, just about every base on this planet, alien bases are right next to it or underneath the ground somewhere near it. Now, when we talk about that, well, what are they doing? They monitor what we do. People say, well, if they wanted to destroy us, they could. Of course they could. But why would they want to destroy us? In general. But here's the thing. As we move along in life, we're creating the horrible situations that we're in. A black and white battle in the United States. Really? Over one man? Oh, no, it's a few men. A few men? Do you know how many white people get killed by the police on a yearly time? It's higher percentage than the black people are. Just go up and pull up the number of people who died. I think last year it was 495 people. 44% of them were white. 32% were black. Then we go down to the Latino and then, I mean, the lowest killed was the Native people. Well, there's not too many Native people walking around anywhere that are free. And yes, they should be the ones complaining over everybody. Black people are asking for the land back. They want Texas. They want people to give up their houses to them. You know, I don't know what kind of sickness is affecting the planet or the United States alone, but it is pretty bad. Now, which is actually making that worse. Do you see that thing going around on my screen? Do you really think you're spiritual, and why? Greetings, Militia. Pleasure. If you got a question, feel free. I mean, if you do want to come on, if you have anything important, I can bring you on. All right. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I don't think there's another person out there speaking that can take you where I can take you. And please, it's not coming from ego. Oh, yes, it is. Why? Because everybody says this is one of the top statements from most people. Nobody knows the truth. Because they don't know the truth, nobody knows the truth. And when somebody knows the truth, does anybody want to listen? I'm going to go, like I said, this is a preparation because I'm going to be doing a series. It's going to be an ongoing series until I get through what I want to get through. It might be continuous, but there's so many topics I'm going to go into in detail that nobody else can. But I'm talking about the most important things. What happens to people? What happens to people when they die? And those things. Not how long you can live and how you're going to build a bigger house, how you're going to become friends with an alien, invite him to dinner. I mean, that's not important. All right. Soul is important, what it is. Alien races have no feelings and emotions. So on abductees, people really don't care. Hold on, let me just see what they said. How would they know your race? Well, depending which race, the Greys are shaped different. The reptilians are shaped different. The Nordics are human-like. The Pleiadians are human-like. All right, the Pleiades are us from the future, so they're very exact like us. Now, the Nordics, they're bigger. They will have blue eyes, blonde hair, basically, and they wear white clothes, which tries to make people believe that they're spiritual beings. But outside of that, we got lots more races, and none of them look human like we do, like our nose. The Greys don't eat through their mouth. Reptilians have sex kind of like we do, where the Greys cannot. All right. We can talk about that. And I will get into alien specific at one time or one point in the next couple of weeks. But I feel I'm trying to give you an overall idea where I'm going to take you where nobody else is going to take you. Nobody. I haven't met one speaker, including Neil Diamond Walsh, who has an incredible cult following. Believe him. Believe he talked to God, and God talks to him. All right? He doesn't say anything different than what you're already programmed to believe. Everybody's programmed to believe love is the most important thing. It could be, but it's not. Will it be anytime soon? No, it will not. I mean, for a word like that, which deserves a couple of days talking about it, but in short, can happen. Because love is dealing with something that they don't know. And the word on that is God. If you don't understand God and you don't know God, you're never truly going to understand what love is. But the idea of it being compassionate, protecting, all those words that man gave it is so far from the truth as well. Religions have completely covered over the truth. I mean, the Ten Commandments are great laws to live by. But they don't mention love in the Ten Commandments either, do they? All right? When you listen to what Gabriel supposedly taught Muhammad, if you study the Quran and you go through those aspects of it and stuff and see what Muhammad actually created when he was creating a religion or rebuilding it. I'm just trying to read one thing. Phenomena. Okay, yeah. I was going to, I have that word as my link, but I'm giving it up. I can't even spell it, so I don't even want to keep it. But here's the thing. I'm dealing with so many things right now that I feel are important. When I hear these people talking about things like protection and love is the answer, and being your highest self, becoming a higher what? Higher ego. Well, Melissa, I'll tell you this. You can accept whatever you want of it. The reason why I'm doing what I do, I'm on my 5th book. My book that I just wrote is called The True Teachings of Jesus from God Realization. Now, I don't know if you believe in reincarnation. If you do you remember many or any of your incarnations? I remember all mine back to Atlantis. All right. I was alive with Jesus. Mary Magdalene was my closest friend. So if you want the truth, Jesus was not teaching love. You cannot. How would you run a class on teaching love? Tell them that you got to be friends, you got to this. It would not fit to what love is, because no couple deals with love the same way at any level. So to say Jesus came here to teach love, he did not. Jesus had a true teaching, which was not put in the Bible because people couldn't understand it. All right. His own followers helped kill him because they truly didn't understand him as well. Even the word God wasn't used by Jesus because he said Father. He knew these people had no concept of a real God or even a way to prove a God to them. They believed he had power, so he was God. Anybody with superpowers was called God. Going back all through history, the Mayans, the Aztecs, they followed aliens because they had powers, which we didn't have. But in Atlantis, we all had abilities. And when Atlantis was destroyed, those abilities were taken away from mankind. I'm not going to go into all that, but getting back to the word love. Love is important to you in a relationship. But even at that, 60, 70% of relationships fall apart within 10 to 20 years, 3 years, and even at 40 years. You don't think you can understand it to a point where you can accept it and work with it? It has to grow or it dies. But in the interim, I tell two people when they're thinking about marriage or relationships, I said, the only way it will ever work, any kind of a relationship, both of you have to talk to each other about what you like and dislike and what you want, what you don't want. But you both have to agree on one thing before you get married, that you're both willing to give 100%. That means when any situation comes up and you or the other party says, well, I want to do this, you do it. It's not like, well, I'm not going to let you do it, or you can't do that. I don't want. It's 100% giving to the other party. It will work. But that doesn't happen in a relationship. Most people, I'd say 90% of all relationships is basically 60-40, less or more. But basically, that's where it stands. A 50-50 thing, you'll be fighting 50% of the time over what you're going to do or what you're not going to do, or what you can do, what you can't do. Well, I like to hang out with the boys. See, even if you like to do that and you know your partner doesn't like it, you don't do it, because that's giving 100%. Doing what you want, knowing it's hurting your other party, is going against giving 100%. Love is so abused here in this reality. And then the other thing, mankind's idea of love consists of about 60% sex, not feelings, emotions, and compassion. And relationships break up more because of sex and money rather than feelings and emotions. So love is a great word, but it's abused and twisted to the point where people don't know what it really means. Now, protection. How many people know how to protect themselves from demons, entities, or even believe in that stuff? Never mind aliens. I'm protected. An alien can't abduct me. I was close to an alien. My brother was almost abducted and I stopped it. But what do you learn in your path, whatever your belief system is? That's why my show is Beyond Your Truth. That's what my series will be. And it will always be that, because most people are happy with their short set idea of what their truth is. All right. Jesus never said he was God, ever. So to put that on him is karma for the people that do it. So when people say, well, I'm protected because I believe in Jesus, when people do exorcisms in the name of Jesus, guess what? People die. So there's a fallacy to truth, especially in the Bible. And the only reason why I talk about it, because I wrote a book on it. And I experienced it at every level. I was going to become a preacher when I was young. But I realized it was not anything about the truth of God. When I was going to become a born-again Christian preacher, they said I got to donate 40% of my salary to the church. I said, I'll donate 60. 80. Whenever I can, I'll donate as much as I can. The only money I need is the money that pays my rent and my food. Well, then you should be okay to sign this. I'm not signing a number to God. Giving everything I possibly can to God. I don't have to sign a number to that. So I left the religion. I had 3 years in, I'd say about 4 hours a night, 6 days a week. And then I just had to finish the one school class to become an actual preacher. But when I started talking with preachers and stuff and listening to what they preach, it has nothing to do with God. Now, Catholics have their own perception. They don't even recognize anything about Mary Magdalene. Give all this power and become a sainthood of Mary, mother of Jesus? Well, Mary, the mother of Jesus, wasn't a spiritual being per se. She didn't do things to help mankind. She wasn't a teacher. She wasn't a prophet. All right, where Mary Magdalene was. Mary Magdalene learned everything Jesus had to teach them because she had to finish teaching them that. Jesus used a lot of names. I use Jesus because it's the most accepted. I mean, when we go into Yahweh and all these other words, it's of a time frame. I can't speak English language, and I could barely hold on to words here because this is probably the only time I ever spoke English in all my life, in all my lifetimes. But again, names are just that. Words in Atlantis, nobody had to speak even. Nobody had a name. It was a vibration and a sound. And my word, spiritual name, whatever you want to call it, is Dakar. Nobody can steal it. It's mine. It's how I vibrate. In any plane, when you go in the inner worlds, that's how you're called or known for who and what you are. And if you don't even know what yours is, they could call you and you wouldn't even know they're calling you. So there's so many things that people aren't ready to learn or understand. But Jesus came here to teach one specific teaching. It's mentioned maybe 2 sentences in the Bible because, again, they didn't understand it. Now, the second part of that, Jesus was teaching to fishermen and farmers. How much did they know about anything? So when he couldn't mention God, what would God mean to them? Nothing. When he did powers, he was God. But he used my father because everybody had a father and everybody could relate to that. Well, my father. And that's why he said, what father would not give to his son everything they deserve? He used words that simple-minded people could understand. They didn't understand his teachings. The few that did were searched out and killed after they killed Jesus. Mary Magdalene was my best friend. I was a female in that lifetime, but Mary Magdalene had to leave with her daughter and Thomas. Thomas went to India and taught Jesus' teachings in India until he died. Mary Magdalene traveled the world as much as she could teaching. The Knights of Templar were created for her daughter, not for her, really. I mean, because basically Knights of Templar were created 100 years later. I mean, it was, I can never remember the name of the people that were before the Knights of Templar, but they're still alive today. They're still active today. They still believe in Mary Magdalene as their higher power. So yeah, they're a little more in tune with truth, but they changed to money, which is another pathetic thing. You pay for the levels of awareness you go through. Really? I mean, the first initiate's, I think, $25. Higher initiate is $50. Top level is $80, $90. I don't know. It's just money. And you can't buy spirituality with money, obviously. Greeting. Hi, how are you? I just see you entered the room. Anybody wants to come on and really has something to say, please, I'll bring you on. But I'm doing a show today. My other half didn't come on. I hope she's okay. She goes through a lot. Being abducted as many times as she is, I am reactive, which she is, and the problems that she's having. But I've been in this world since I was 6. I was dealing with women that lost their children when I was 20, and it's not new to me. So when people say, well, I've been in it for 10 years, 25 years, I've been in it for almost, 98% of my life. My first, when my brother was getting inducted, I was 6 years old. I'm 67 now. So a long time ago. So when people talk about things, talking about 50 years ago, really? When these people come out, they've been in the UFO world for 15 years and they're talking about the 50s, really? I don't think you should talk about anything you didn't experience, because when you experience something, it becomes much more real. But the second part to any experience you're going to get in this lifetime, you really need to prove it to yourself. Now, here's two scenarios that will counteract what you believe. Because something saved you. Like I was doing a UFO conference with a person that says he works with the Nordics. And he goes, they protect them and they work with them. And I said, how? He goes, well, I was in a car crash. I was outside the car. And I said, okay, what else did they do for you? He couldn't answer one other thing. He goes, they're always there. And I said, what did they do? Well, they guide me and protect me. From what? He couldn't answer any more than that. Now, when people say they're protected, Jesus is protecting them. From what? Doesn't every Christian family have somebody die, get hit by a car, lose their arm, or lose their children, and all those kind of things? When they say protection, they use a word that they don't even know what it means. All right? When we talk about people and their so-called truth, all right, when Jesus was alive, the people that followed him were listening, but not really. Because, when you hear a speaker talk today and they go home and they translate it into what they want. Neil Diamond Walsh has one of the biggest followings I call cult groups. I write him 10 letters a day. He puts 10 stories up every day, claiming he talks to God. God doesn't come down to this reality, ever. And he's not going up to the higher dimensions, higher realms where God dwells. So when he says he talks to God, he talks to himself. Because the only thing he ever pulled out is what Christians believe. A programmed idea. All right? Of what he's talking about. Love and become your higher self, and then we are all God. I look at things so different than most people, but imagine we were all God. We'd be a pretty pathetic God, wouldn't we? This world is pathetic. I mean, everything. This is hell. Please, don't say it's heaven. Heaven on earth. No, heaven will never be on earth. We got aliens here. We got creatures here. We got a lot of things here. Heaven will never be here. Heaven is never a place where evil dwells. Why would somebody assume that? Satan dwells. Satan's in control of all the aliens. He's in control of a lot of people right now. His army. Lucifer's a high angel. He sits right next to Satnam and Jehovah. I mean, there are three gods that are on the higher realm of the astral plane, and they judge the souls that go beyond the astral plane. Very few people can talk about that either, because they never got there. I died 5 times and came back. I spent over 40 years traveling into the higher realms, meeting with deities and angels, and then going up to the highest. So I'm talking, I put my life on the line. Everything I do is judged by God only. Nobody else can judge me. They can pretend they are and think they are. The only thing I take or care or respect or analyze or whatever is God itself. Not that it comes down to this world and say, oh, you're playing with your shoes today. Go out and do some work. No. It's all about understanding soul. What that truly is, what its mission here is, and why it's not meant to stay here. So the concept of staying, Jesus spoke in words that they didn't understand. When he said, give your life to God, you'll have eternal life. If you try to hold on to it, you'll lose it. Eternal life means in the higher realms, not in hell. There's a cool movie, Lucifer TV series. Watch it. It's an eye-opener. It's not accurate in a lot of ways, but it's fun, and it makes you think about aspects of where we are, where we dwell, and what actually dwells here. I did exorcisms. I did past life regressions, remote psychic implant removals, and all those kind of things. What's not connected? Oh, here he is. There he is. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hey, Tommy. Figured I'd come in just for a bit. I know you're towards the end there.
I don't I don't have Tina run. I go as long as I want.
Okay, copy that. I got you.
Well, greetings. It's a pleasure.
Well,
How are you today?
pretty good. I had forgotten to do it on at 2 o'clock on Tuesdays, so I was like, oh crap, I better come in.
So, I hope you saw my notes. I'm starting my own show again. Truth beyond truth beyond. No, sorry about. I don't get mixed up. Beyond your truth. It's
Okay.
as simple as that. Because everybody has a truth, and I'm not going to talk about their truth. I'm going to let them talk about it to themselves, but think about a real truth. And I started with that. People think, well, I got a truth, and it's true. And I said, because you believe it to be true. Does it help mankind? If it doesn't help mankind, it's only your truth. First
It's
off,
it's the typical human program, and it's what it is.
exactly. And when I don't, my camera's a little cockeyed. Let me straighten out. There it is. So, people that go on and on about their truth. I ask people, come on, let's talk about your truth. They can't. Hold on, let me. No, Jesus never said. Jesus meant we were all children of God, which we all are. But if we can't move into that space to be that, we're not that. Our actions, what we create where we live, how we live, and where we dwell. Living in hell isn't an aspect of God, but God had to create a starting point for soul to grow. It's like a seed. It doesn't grow in there. You got to plant it and it'll start growing. You got to feed it, water it, and all those things. So a soul, when it comes into this world, starts with nothing. It needs to build itself. And you're not going to take everything everybody says life after lifetime. As you reincarnate each lifetime, when I was in Atlantis, it was the only time, and I'll say it over and over, that we were at the most spiritual place we have ever been and probably will ever be. I see what's happening now with aliens and everything else that's going down. We could lose a planet in a great way, but I don't think we'll destroy every person or everything on it. But we'll have a new civilization when it's all over.
Let's hope it's for the better.
Well, at that point, you need to eliminate all the garbage, the way I look at it. You can't move forward if you have garbage,
Right.
because negativity can always outweigh the better part of it. Look at life. Look at the world. Look at the United States. If it was a loving thing where love overpowers everything, the world would be beautiful right now. And we're so far from that at every level.
Oh yeah.
What we build, what it looks like, what we drive, everything we create is the delusional idea of what we think is important. I mean, how many children we should have. Catholics believe you have to have lots of children. You can't take care of one, you shouldn't have two. Now, there's a TV show on. The lady had 9. She had 2 sets of triplets and 1 set of quadruple, whatever it was. Now she has another group of children being born, and one of them needs a heart transplant right away. But 11 children. I mean, how do you take care of that? I don't care what kind of job, unless you're Rockefeller, can you take care of that kind of family. But, we live in a world where we're so programmed, the ideas, where we're going, what we're going to do, how we're going to get there. Nobody wants to talk about the truth, which I'm going to go into. How many people can talk about Jehovah? Really, who he is, where he is, and what he's doing right now? How many people can talk about Lucifer in the name? I mean, the cult groups like Wicca, demonism, and all those
I've noticed a lot of people get very defensive when it comes to Lucifer and a difference between Satan. I never understood that.
Well, Satan is not Lucifer.
Well, no, I know that. It's just I don't understand like why people get so defensive when people talk about
Because
the truth.
they blame everything on Lucifer. But Lucifer's not in the Bible. I mean, Jesus didn't face Lucifer. Lucifer was an angel, the highest angel.
Mm-hmm.
And he's allowed to do what he does because he was that level. He stops all souls from going through the astral plane, along with Satnam and Jehovah. But Jehovah is a really jealous God. He's another one that doesn't want too many souls to go beyond it as well.
Oh, jealousy.
Jealousy in the lower realms is called part of ego, and that's what keeps everybody here.
Yeah.
And Satan, the guy that runs around here with his armies, like that. And they like to feed us pain and suffering to make us stay here. If you want to think of a heaven, you should be thinking of a place that rises above pain and suffering, lies, cheating, delusions, and all those other words. Because when you add that to it, you can't be in heaven. This is not heaven in any way. It doesn't reflect heaven in any way, and we don't reflect God in any way. So to say we're God in heaven is delusional. To say we're going to be one God when we die, I mean, all these delusional ideas, it was sad because nobody spoke about God before Jesus came here. All right. And what was said is deities and aliens both had the power to convince people that they were something more powerful than them. And it wasn't. The word was deity in the beginning. In Hinduism, which was the first religion on the planet, it was called the deity, not God. We created the word God on top of deity when mankind tried to understand it. But a deity is a deity. And they're higher than an angel, more powerful than an angel, and they take a very important role in the spiritual chain of growth of spirituality, of soul.
You mentioned you watched Lucifer. I just finished season 5.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I didn't. I'm going to watch it in the next day or two. I mean,
Okay.
to me, that is my favorite show.
Yeah.
Did you see how many did you see? 6 or all of them?
All of them. Yep.
Because I know they said 6, and then they have to release the others soon after. So I guess they're all released now. But I can't wait to watch that. But it takes me to a different place. We're in a really sad time in the history of the planet. So to even smile, for me, I don't smile much. To get a little happiness or some kind of peaceful space where I can be in that space is great. But I can't, because I think of reality, I think of the planet, and I think of the children suffering constantly, daily. And for a human race to say they're spiritual, to allow that to exist at a high level, which is even into the government now, and the priesthood, and everywhere else, it's sick, perverted, and twisted. So when a priest, or a minister, or a rabbi want to come out and say, well, what are you going to say? I mean, the Muslims talk about heaven as what? A sexual place to be when they die. I mean, twist and turn the truth upside down and inside out to make it feel good, to make you be happy, is pretty pathetic in my world. So what I'm going to say to everybody, I'm a realist. I live by my truth. I'll die by my truth. And I'm going to keep putting it out as long as I'm alive. If I died tomorrow, that would be it. But I'd at least put it out as much as I could. Jesus didn't get to live too long. Why? People didn't want the truth. When you create a society under lies and the truth comes along, which would destroy your reality, what do? Take it out. Countries that don't like what other countries do, what do they try to do? Take them out. Mm-hmm. Or we try to convert them into what we believe in. What did they do to the native people? People talk about the black people. Native people were put in Catholic schools from the time they were 6 till the time they were 16. If they didn't go to that school, they were killed. If they didn't cut their hair and be conformed to their stupid rules, they were killed.
Well, then I'll be dead because my hair is too long for them.
Then when they were released, they were really got them into drinking right before they released them, and then they brought them back to the reservation. Native people cannot drink. They go completely out of balance. Their system doesn't work with man-made alcohol. I'm not saying they didn't do peyote, which they did in certain ceremonies, certain tribes. They're not drug addicts, which most people say, well, they're all drug addicts, or they're all this, or all that. Mankind on this planet has a way of stilling the consciousness, distorting our ego, and programming us to be something that we're not. To think we're important even is the biggest delusion that we can live in. And somebody says, well, I'm a six-dimensional being now. Really?
What are you still doing here?
Yeah, when people say, well, I can travel all the inner worlds and I can go anytime. I can only go when I'm allowed to. I mean, I can go there and everything else. But again, I was told, why would you want to be there if you're not going to stay there? I realized that. And the first thing I said, I will go there when I can stay there. I don't need to go there every day anymore. I don't have to hang out there. I have to do these things. And what I said, which the hard way, that I can't give my gifts to anybody else. I said, well, I know the truth. Let other people experience that. Because I said it. They're not going to get the gift to be able to experience it because they're not ready, or they would experience it. So we live in a place and a time where everything matters on what we do with our spiritual awareness and growth. Do we move forward or not? Do we want to be in a different space than we are in right now? And sadly, most people don't want to move forward. Like I said, what was that?
No, I just said no. No, they don't.
They're happy in their little box.
Yeah.
They're afraid they might. I mean, it's like people that live on flat Earth. Well, I can't go that far. I'll fall off of it.
Well, the problem is the system has done such a great job at focusing the populations on toys, cell phones, TVs, and all that stuff, all that worldly stuff, that people have no clue of what life and reality is all about.
Well, I did a show with 5 people, and one was a psychic, one was an angel person, and each one had different abilities and stuff. But when they say, well, this and this, and I say, we're not set to agree. I mean, for us to ever agree on something, there's only one way this world could become a peaceful planet again, and that's understanding God and accepting it. But if that doesn't happen, we can't have 5 different gods, because you're going to have 5 different teachings which do not fit together, ever. And as long as mankind is willing to hold on to their little truth, it's not going to change reality. So when the destruction comes, it'll take out a lot of people. The people that are left will learn to work together to survive again. Hopefully, during that time frame, they will eliminate killing, abuse, and those words.
I'll be right back. I'm just going to grab some tea.
No problem. But see, people don't look at it that way. Oh, no, we can rise and become. Look, I challenge people. I say, come on a show. I'll debate you on truth, on what we really are, what we're really doing, and things like that. Even in the UFO world, Michael Horn was on my show 2 weeks ago, and he couldn't deal with lies or the truth, however you want to look at it. And Billy Myers was one of the greatest conceivers of creating false truth for the world. He worked with psychic abilities, which were the part of the Pleiadians. He called them Pleiadians, but they gave him the truth, because he came out with 100 prophecies. I think they all came true, and he came out with another 100. Supposedly they all came true. But the bottom line is, okay, where are they going to help us? How are they going to help us? See, psychics talk about working with people and all this healing people. Healing from another person is a temporary gift. Or I'd just say a temporary thing. Now, if a psychic claims to heal you of karma, they can. A psychic claims to heal you of cancer. Well, the Native people came up with the cancer answer a long time ago. But healing you of a certain thing, does that mean you can't die of that? I mean, heal me so I don't die. All right? Do that if you're a psychic, if you can heal things. And then if you can heal me, heal the whole planet. Take away the virus right now. See, psychics feel that they're at a higher level and they're working closer to God. They're working closer to ego. Psychic abilities do not function in this world now in a good way. All right. I went through them. I was a witch. I use the word witch when I was 14 till I was about 19. I learned about most of the psychic abilities and how to use them.
32 of them, right?
There's 32 of them, and I learned about 28, 29, somewhere around there.
Okay.
But obviously, the one I really, really wanted, I never got.
Mm.
And that one was called levitation. But outside of them all the other ones were sad. I mean, now I just debated a spiritual woman who claims to be spiritual. What is she? A psychic and everything else about empathic. Well, you don't know what empathic means. I said I was empathic for 2 years, and you think I don't know what it means? Well, it's about feelings, and no, that's a small part of empathic. Empathic means knowingness, knowing every single thing a person thinks and feels. Not, well, I feel he's feeling bad or sad. No, knowing what he's thinking in detail. And I did it. I didn't even get a chance to say it to her. I said, look, I challenged the person daily to make sure I wasn't making up what I thought about them or what I knew that they were thinking. So yeah, it was real, but I proved it to myself beyond the shadow of a doubt that it was 100% real. So when we talk about psychic abilities, now I was doing I did so many radio shows, but I was on one. The lady was a psychic, claimed she could do anything. I said, well, why are you living? She was smoking a cigarette on top of it. And she did it every show that I ever saw her on. She always had a cigarette in her mouth. And I said to her, well, if you're so psychic, why don't you just make a lot of money? Oh, I could if I wanted to. If you're so psychic and you're given an ability, everything's given to somebody if it's going to be used wisely. If it's not wisely, it's taken away. It's that simple. I mean, you could start off like with a spiritual awareness and consciousness of saying, I am this and I'm going to be good. And then when the money starts building up and you say, well, I want to go plate my car, I want to, and everything else starts becoming money, it breaks down that spiritual part of yourself. So when these people go, well, I can get all the money I want. Well, go out, go to the casino, win $100 million, go out and build 20 homes around the United States for homeless people, build a center for children in every state. I said, you don't have to use it to buy yourself another car or another house or 10 more boats. Like I would say more like Robin Hood idea, steal from the rich and give to the poor. Well, they can't do that. I said, if one person could even see the future 30 seconds in advance, just 30 seconds, they could be a billionaire overnight. You could save how many lives, how many things. You could do so many incredible things if it was only for 30 seconds into the future. Mm-hmm. And I could see the future. The show I was on, which I dropped because he wanted me to challenge people on their lies. Mm-hmm. And when I had Michael Horn on, I challenged him. He said, you can't do that. Just interview him. I said, you said I could do what I want. And I'm not going to treat him like he's not lying. And then he left the show. But I left that show too, because I only feel that I want to promote and deal with the truth and bring it out to the world. I don't want to bring out lies. So when these psychics say all these things and they can do this and that, why aren't you doing it? So it becomes, these psychic abilities become a negative gift. And when we say a healer, well, I heal people. If you're a healer, heal the world. If you think you can heal people. People can only get healed when their karma is right. And nobody has the right to take somebody else's karma away. Not in this reality. And I can go into that whole thing about death because so many people believe they can come back wherever they want, whenever they want. That's a whole story which I got to do a whole show on. Because, I mean, I was just dealing with a psychic. Well, I can come back whenever I want. I said, really? The one thing that they're losing track of, why would you come back if you're an aware being?
Exactly.
I mean, common sense is stripped of people. And it's more, I don't know what word you would replace it with, but it's sure nothing important, because ego is a part of it.
You come here to pay stuff off, not to keep coming back just because you're spiritual. That's not. I don't think
Oh,
of
I'm
it.
spiritual. I'm coming back and saving the world. Nobody can do
Right.
that. Uh, soul has to do it for itself, and soul will stay here until it does. So somebody asked me what Jesus' real name is. He had 5 names, but does it matter what people call them? People don't even know what he looked like. People don't know the truth of his birth. They don't know anything about him. They don't know how his eyes were dark. But if you looked into them, they looked like crystals. I mean, that's when people would kind of say now, "Oh, he had blue eyes." No, he didn't. He didn't have blonde hair. He didn't walk around like the way they said he did. I mean, he had nothing. But wherever he went, he was given anything that people had. And that's a difference, because how many people walk around this planet now and just walk up to a house and they'll bring them in, feed them dinner, give them a shower? And how many people are that gifted right now?
Not at the world's current state, no.
I mean, if the Dalai Lama was standing in front of your house, you would probably invite him in, because deep in your heart, you know he's not going to rob you, he's not going to abuse you or anything like that. But
Right.
if some person walks up to your house, and I had it happen to me so many times, and it's kind of weird. I was in California at my aunt's house, and there was a knock on the door, and this person goes, "I'm looking for a person who I was told will be here." I said, "Who told you?" And he goes, "Well, Spirit guided me here." And I ended up talking to him half of the night and everything. But
Okay.
things follow energy, and good or bad. Hitler, when I started learning about hypnosis, I met with Kreskin, and basically he said it's the power of suggestion. But when you hypnotize a person, you're suggesting something to them. If you can get them to believe the suggestion, it becomes the reality. Uh, so Hitler hypnotized his whole country. So, and people say, well, hypnosis today is all lies. The foundation of it teaches all lies. I never got a degree in hypnosis, because who's going to give it to me? Somebody that's set on a bunch of rules that think this is the rules of hypnosis? And through hypnosis, how many women and children and everybody else were abused and everything else during it? I was bad. I was 14, hypnotizing all my friends. I made them do stupid things in front of people to prove it. I mean, to the point where my friend's mother, comes knocking on my door at 3 o'clock in the morning. "You got my son drunk." I said, "No, I didn't. He doesn't have no liquor in his body."
Yeah.
I hypnotized him that if he drinks a glass of water, he'll get drunk. But I did things like that. Even my brother didn't believe me. So I told my one friend he was a Russian spy, and I told my other friend that he was a German, and he has to stop that guy from getting a message through. And it was like we were all in a room, and they're talking. I watched him because I have to keep control of the situation. But he grabbed a knife and just swung at him. If I didn't stop his hand, he would have stabbed him. And my brother goes, "Oh, you set this all up," and just walked out. And he didn't even believe that it was real. My own brother. So, truth could be as real as it is and still not accepted by a person that's standing in it. It could be flowing over them. It could be just about every part of their reality, and they still won't accept it. So we're in a place right now. Protection is not for the body. And if people don't realize that, they're never going to understand.
That's what I mentioned in the chat. It has nothing to do with the physical.
I mean, this body's under wear and tear, chemtrails, pollution, chemicals in your food, toxics injected into your body. You're not protected from that. But I did have a master that said to me, and this was about 30 years ago, he said to me, "Inject, eat everything you can, because when it comes down to the end, you'll be able to survive. All these other new age people will die because they can't eat." They can't absorb any of those things. It'll kill them. I lived on gasoline, and I'm not joking about that. I was a fire dancer for half of my life, and I probably swallowed more gasoline than most 99% of the people on this planet. And I'm alive. My brother's a chemist. It's like Benzene in the body is the only substance that doesn't get pulled out of it. Nothing you can take can withdraw it from the body. As of right now, maybe there's some future technology that I don't know right now, but my body's already completely destroyed by whatever it did to my body. So, I mean, it's not like I'm going to ask for a miracle cure for it. I don't want miracles here. I want to serve out my time and go to where the miracle deserving is, into the higher realms.
Mhm.
And once you get there, people, you will not be thinking about squirrels going up your tree, going out to catch a little fish, or beating up your brother. I mean, it's not going to be like that no more. You don't have to be
Right.
worried about little things, bad things, or any other aspects of that. Hold on. So, I don't know how much longer I'm going to go because I was hoping my other half would be on today, but she could be in the doctor's office, which she probably is, which I don't want to say it until I talk to her again. But I hope she's okay. She had serious problems, and we talk about them whenever she comes back and has a fall, passes out, goes unconscious, falls down the stairs, and different things happening. But she's always taking pictures of ships over her house as well, monitoring her, and they keep an eye on her. She's a mother of a bunch of children up in their spaceship and wherever they're going to put them and stuff like that. So, yeah, I guess they care about her a lot. I mean, everybody comes up with a story. Well, they cloned me and created a whole city, a whole civilization. You know, I'm
I
going
forgot if
to
she's mentioned it or not. Has she told like what she believes the reason is
reason for what?
for them focusing on her so much?
Oh, yeah, they took her. She made all these children there, and
Okay.
she's the only one that can communicate with them, and they don't understand how she can.
Oh, okay.
So
Right.
she's
Okay.
important to them. Uh, they would probably just left her or whatever. But I also think they're keeping her alive because she was exposed to too much radiation. I mean, she was going through every kind of. I'm not going to go through all her symptoms, but she was going through every symptom of radiation poisoning.
Okay.
So, and she's still alive, but she takes out her Geiger counter and shows she's still radioactive when she's talking on the show.
Hmm.
I made her get that. She went in the crop circle that was radioactive as well. So, yeah, I mean, she's an incredible person. She has evidence that we can't even get from the government because they won't release it. They said it's too controversial. I said, well, it's her own body, and they won't let her see it or have it.
That's right. Yeah,
So,
because that one surgery.
yeah, they won't give her to her because
Mm.
whatever they cut out of her, which was probably something that they didn't want anybody to see for sure.
Right.
So, I don't know. I'm so tired of listening to everybody. I don't want to bring many people on my show that I don't want or trust because I listen to these shows. Like I did a show with Laura Eisenhower 2 weeks ago, and it was really good. I listened to a show right before this show. She has this guy on, claims he's like top informer, work for the government, top secret, all this. He's classifying all the ships over the White House were Russian ships. He's classifying these as Russian ships. We don't have the technology to go faster than the speed of light, even then. I mean, it was their ships that we were using. Now, TJ, when I did the show with her husband said he flew the ship for the president. Whether he did or not, I'm not even going to debate it anymore. But it was their ships, not our ship. So when we got their ships, they started bargaining with us because we could shoot their ships down. 3 ships were shot down during Roswell, and they
We
only talked about.
accidentally did that in 47.
I know, and we did that in 47, but their ships are different now.
Yeah.
We can't touch their ships anymore. But see, anybody out there, if you're listening to this, pass this message to everybody you know. Tommy Hawksblood is looking for somebody that's aware, really aware here, about what race Tesla worked with. Now, I don't want to hear stories. I don't want to hear what you think or anything. That you have any form of proof of what race it was.
Just
Because
just a simple answer.
one simple word, one name, and I'll work with that from there. Because I don't want to do certain things until I know what race that is.
Honestly, if you know they're telling the truth, it will be a simple answer.
It'll be a simple answer. I mean, no, oh, it was the reptilians. No, it wasn't. Was it the Greys? No, it wasn't. But Was it the Nordics? No. Was it the Anunnaki? No. I mean, then we got all these other names, the Andromedans and things like that. Uh, they're much more intelligent, but they can't play here. The only one of the people who actually brought the awareness of them out was about 35, 40 years ago. And he lectured for many years about them. But he never predicted or said anything that really happened from them. He was able to predict things that were happening, but he couldn't. Well, they were going to hear, they're going to do this, and those things never happened. So, to me, it's like, well, if you're a race and you're spiritual, you help us. Otherwise, you don't. And people have to look at it this way: they're not helping us. And the way I'll put it down for people to look at it, and I wish you could see it my way. If you let one person die because you feel like, well, maybe they need to see it, you're wrong. If you have a protection to protect one child, and you say, well, no, let him die, guess what? So when they say, well, we'll come down and help you when we think we're ready to help you, knowing all the children that die in a day and those kind of things, all the abuse and everything else.
Yeah, I saw that.
Mr. Seigel, 18, does not talk to Tesla. I was with Seigel for a long time. We're kind of not friends right now because I mentioned Sean David Morton, who he hates, and then he attacked me straight out. But he's got money. He's living in a strange place right now. And basically, he's not doing anything. I mean, he could be doing a TV show, a movie, or something in behind all this, but he promised to come out and do his series and his shows, which he's not. I wrote him 3 hardcore letters. I know things that nobody else knows about him, inside and out. I confront him always. I'm talking about possession and all those kind of words, which very few people want to hear or say or admit. And because he claims he talked to Jesus as well. I said, here, ask Jesus a simple question. I'll give you a simple question to ask Jesus. And anybody I challenge that to, like even Neil Diamond Walsh, I'll give you a simple question to ask God. He can't, because he doesn't get answers from God. Nobody does. So what am I trying to say? Seigel 18 said a lot of things. We filmed more ships than anybody else in the United States. Yes. We dealt with a lot of things that nobody else did. But is he more gifted than anybody else? Really? I don't think so. Nobody's really gifted more than anybody else because we're still in hell. I mean, a gift is to get out of it. The only gift that's worth getting is the gift to leave hell. Not to stay in it, to pretend your power over these people. He was a psychic. When we get on a plane, he would read for the what do you call it, the servers and everybody that we pass. We go to a restaurant, he would, oh, well, do you know that? And he was a good psychic. I only met a few really top-of-the-line psychics that didn't go into the everyday stuff. Well, you're going to find a girlfriend. Oh, you're going to find a boyfriend. You're going to get a job. No. More of the spiritual side of a person. Well, not because you're in a sign. Oh, you're in a spiritual sign. You're spiritual. No, you're not. You're not spiritual until you become spiritual and you're aware of it. It's like saying, I'm God, but if you're not aware of it, you're not God. If you know what God can do, and you can do it, then you could kind of compare yourself to that. John, did you talk to Seigel lately? Did you see anything by him lately? I check his sites out. I know he blocked me in a couple places because I confront him when he says some things that I feel is like, okay, that's ego. I always had a problem with him and me with ego. I mean, one thing, and I'll tell you the truth. I'm going way off subject, but when I met him, he challenged me because I went inside his sacred circle and he told me I was going to die and all kinds of things. But in the end, I had to help him in a lot of ways. But the problem is when you say things, he told me he was going to bring an alien to the White House. For years. A lady Her name's Star Ferrentes, who's considered a psychic, high psychic in her own mind. Gave him a check for $45,000. It couldn't be cashed until he brought the alien to her. He said, "If you bring me the alien, I'll give you the $45,000." All right, so he never claimed that check either. But when you get into the point where you say things like that, you need to put up what you're saying and prove it. Don't say something that you can't prove. What I tell people is things that they have to work out and do for themselves, because I can't do it for them. But if they truly want something, there's ways to go about doing it. Oh, I want to tell you, I actually bought a book from one of my people that I study with on the Kunlun. I talked about Kunlun to you already, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he had a book out, and I just bought it because I want something to read. He was an incredible guy, pretty gifted in a lot of ways. I really liked him. I stayed with him for a couple years. But I just wanted something to read, and I want to remember the things that I did when I was studying with him, the techniques that we use, and how to go into them again. I actually spent a week with him at his house, and we went into Egyptian techniques, and they're so different. They're so much harder. But the Egyptians are pretty stupid. But their techniques are like almost suicide techniques. You almost die. You feel like you're dying when you go through these techniques to get to that point. But Kunlun is really a starting point for somebody that never experienced being outside of their body. It's coming to the point where the body kind of dies and you step out of it. And then you can reflect on that. So it's amazing for a beginner to learn and stuff. So Kunlun, check it out on the internet if you want a path, another place to start. He does most of his work in California. He came to Hawaii rather recent, the other island. But he travels the United States and stuff. But he's doing things online. He's a person that might help a person take the first step if they need it. So, we do what we need to do. And you should always be willing to take another step. If you feel it can help you, do it. I don't stop anybody from doing anything. Go to another religion. Do this. Jump off a mountain into a lake, an ocean, whatever. Do whatever you need to wake up your little brain and say, "Hey, look, you're there, brain, and here's my soul." Because when soul separates from that, you understand who you are, at least for a short moment. And the mind's going to try to tell you, no, you didn't experience that. No, that's not real. The ego will always try to stop from whatever you learn from you. I'm not saying people can't talk to angels, but the problem is,
Roger Stone.
I had a lady on yesterday. She says she talks to angels. She works with angels. And I said, angels? I said, there's probably a couple million people that actually say they're working with angels right now. How come not one of them has something important to say?
I'm still waiting for like a life-changing message here from people.
Well, here's the thing. Yeah, somebody has to say something if you think you're all that.
Yeah, exactly.
But when you work with an angel, go through the Bible. And I mentioned this on the show. There's only 9 angels mentioned in the Bible. 9. And in Revelations, it says there's thousands of angels, but it doesn't name any of them. So when people say they work with an angel, 90% of them pick Gabriel, Michael, who else? I don't know. Well, they pick the simple names that everybody knows because they're mentioned so many times. How many people can actually find, without going online and looking it up, name 5 angels or 3 angels outside of that? But they all sound the same. Out of the 9, 6 of them sound exactly the same, except you're changing like 3 letters of the first part of the name. But the one that's mind-boggling. Now I got dementia, Parkinson, not dementia. Sorry, wrong word. But and I'm really bad with names. Metatron. It's a name given to an angel in the Bible. Now, that sounds like an angel from the future, of an alien race
Yeah, sounds like an AI thing or something.
when all the rest of them have like real names. So it's just kind of funny that one of the nine has this bizarre name. But again, when a person goes into this whole thing, they're working with an angel. What are they telling you? What's important? Now, Mr. Walsh goes, "Well, I talk to God." And I said, "What's it say?" "Well, love's the answer, and we're all God." God's going to tell you you're God?
Well, I
Or
mean,
you're
if
going to say,
anything like that shows up in front of you better ask questions and test it.
well, his testing is we all. I just wrote him. I write him a letter every day because he pops up on my screen, first person in my Facebook, and I always have to write something underneath whatever he says because it's always something stupid. To me, I mean, to unaware people, it might sound good. Anything that sounds good, you need to be aware that it's probably not true. Spiritual growth is the hardest path to take out of any kind of path, even the non-path of non-trying. Uh, but it is hard because you have to let go of everybody's truth that keeps trying to program you, brainwash you, and tell you you're wrong. But you
Yeah,
have to be able to.
I can tell you from experience so far, it's not easy.
Uh, there's always that first time which you need to have soon uh, when
Yeah, we're still on that.
when it wakes up and suddenly it's real. I mean, then it's not that. Well, I have to, because it's the old saying: you're in your bedroom. Okay, if you pull the doorknob into your room, it opens. But the door doesn't open the opposite way. So if you're pushing on that door, it never opens. It can't open.
Hmm.
So until you make the space for it to move into, it can't move in. So when you're pushing on a door way hard, it's never going to open. I mean, all my experiences came to me. I didn't ask for them. I wasn't in meditation for them to have. I mean, later on, after I was aware of things, then you can go in meditation and make them go into them right away. But when you're not ready, soul has to be ready. Did you go in a park and spin around lately?
No, but I mean, I could.
Well, do it.
Yeah.
It looks stupid. Go to a park, go to the beach, put your arms out and spin around until you fall on the ground. Seriously.
Okay. No,
Children do that because it's their first way to touch being a soul
yeah.
and being aware but unaware. It just feels good and they know it. So we have to start with the simplest thing if it takes that. I mean, I could say do drugs. I told you only do it once or twice if you have to, but don't get hooked on that either because then you're going to have this tool around you always to do what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And you could lose that tomorrow. I had a meteorite which I lost, and I felt like my energy was pulled away.
Wait, the one you showed me? How'd you lose it?
No, another one, the one I had, my
Oh, okay,
first
okay.
meteorite. I wore it on my neck. I was going up into the attic, and I heard the thing break, and it fell, and I never found
Oh,
it. I searched. I thought it fell on the floor, and obviously, if it was on the floor, I would have found it. And I
yeah.
up in the attic, I searched every beam. I mean, I tried to look in the crevices or the cracks of the because I went through the square opening in the ceiling.
Okay.
I never found it. But at that point, I paid and did a lot to get that meteorite. It looked
Wait.
like it looked like a giant computer chip that was burnt up
Hmm.
because it had like all these gold, silver things connecting, and it really looked like it could have been part of a ship's memory or something.
That's
But
cool.
it was so cool. I traded a lot of things to get that. But I was down for a while. I mean, I
Mhm.
replaced my meteorites. The one right here is 1,000 times bigger and more powerful. But I mean, even this little one, this one's called the God's Eye, and this one fell down in the United States.
Mhm.
But it's supposed to have superpowers, which I keep it because I call it protection in one way, but not that if I lose it, I mean, it was really given to me as that with a different, some kind of stone in there other than a meteorite. But no,
Mhm.
I don't want to bore people. Please, my show will be starting probably by next week. I just want to clear out a couple things. And then I don't know. I will still be doing the show with Tina. We'll be doing this show, but I want to start my. I am planning a workshop, but I got to get everybody up to a level where they would even want to be a part of it, because the second I say something, oh, I don't want to do that. That's stupid. I can't do that. Well, that's ridiculous. I don't need people to come into a workshop that's not going to learn anything either.
Right.
So, I mean, you have to be aware of a God, have to be able to accept God, have to be able to understand out-of-body experience and all the little words that go along with that. And then I could get into it. But if you don't believe anything, why am I going to say anything about it? Because then every aspect is going to be, well, that's not true, or that's not. You're going to go on to what everybody else tells you.
It sounds like I've got some homework to do before I can
Well,
go to the
no,
workshop.
we got to catch you up to speed, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying, look, we could die, the planet could get blown up tomorrow, and you need to be ready sooner than
Well, yeah,
later.
NASA, there's a meteor that passed Earth the closest, like, and then 6 days later, NASA's like, oh, oops, yeah, there was a meteor that passed,
Oh,
guys.
no. Here's the latest. There's a meteorite coming past this planet really close to us on election day.
Oh, yeah. I remember reading that article. They're like, yeah, on November 2nd, the day before the election, a meteor is
Yeah.
supposed to hit. I'm like, are they? I mean, really?
Well, if you believe in whatever entity,
Well,
demons.
they say the meteor is only 6.5 feet. It should just burn up.
Well, they lie about everything.
Yeah.
They never confirmed anything about Planet X. We don't even know where it is, what it's doing right now. But it was there. I saw it. I saw it behind the sun many times, and everything else. So where is it, and what is it doing really? I was with one of some people years ago. Was the first person to talk about Nibiru, and nobody else was. But in the interim, there's a lot to get into, and I want to go into a lot more detail of a lot of these things. So please, I hope you got something out of today. Send this link to anybody you can. We will get more complex, and I hope Tina's okay. But we have a lot to get into. We've got a lot to learn, a lot to deal with before any major disasters happen. Because no matter what happens, soul can't be destroyed. And you need to know that, and you need to know what it's going to do when something happens to the body that you're in right now. Because not knowing is not going to put you in a better place when you die. You don't become an angel because you die. You don't become a super being because you die. You're still you, at least in the astral plane.
Yeah.
So it's
Me
not
personally, I want to know what happens before I officially go. That's just me.
You need to find soul outside of the body and look at it. So that, I mean, the first time it happened to me, it had to be the greatest. I should talk about that. I don't, but it was the greatest experience I ever had. 100% totally aware of stepping out of your body in front of lots of people. And then I was shown 10 years of my life as well. So it was an incredible experience. I went into a class. I didn't even know what it was. My wife said, oh, you're going to this class with me. Mm-hmm. And it was called Eckankar. And I said, well. And then they all started chanting. And I was like biting my tongue because I couldn't stop laughing. And then it was like somebody.
I'm just trying to picture you, like when you first saw all that.
They all have their eyes closed and they're all.
Yeah.
Because they said they were going to do a spiritual exercise.
Right.
Said, now we're going to spiritually exercise. That sounds like fun. And then they all started chanting. So, but real fast, suddenly like it was like somebody came up and back of me, put both hands on the back of my head and started pushing on it, on the back of my head, trying to push my head down. And I stopped laughing because now I'm dealing with something totally different. And then all of a sudden, like they're pushing so hard, and then they just take your hands off real fast, and you go like that. Well, in that moment, I was standing in front of my body, looking at myself, looking at the 9-people room, and that's how it started. So it wasn't like I even knew what I was doing. It's just that I was pulled into it. So you never know where it's going to touch you or it's going to allow you to come in. As long as you don't go around killing people, I don't see any reason why you're not going to have the experience. So we all need to watch our karma. Don't get involved if you can. If you have to, do what's the most spiritual point that you can attain at that moment. which is still going to be hard. All these shootings, killings, and everything else, looting, rioting. I mean, all of it's not spiritual at any level. For any one of them to say they're spiritual, they believe in God. I said, the God of terror. I mean, what God is that God? Or whatever you believe in. It's just sad. So people, start looking for the truth. It's out there. It's in everything. If you dig and push it around, you can find it. And always look for it. Well, hey, thanks for coming on, Sasha.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
We'll be here same time next year, next week, for the rest of the year, hopefully, on this. And I'll be starting my other one probably in a week or two, no matter what, as well. So, do you really think you're spiritual? Why? Till next time.
Okay. See
Later,
ya.
Sasha. It's a pleasure.
Bye, guys.
Okay, peace, everyone. Till next time, everybody.